want to see how both teams really go into this game. We're looking at the bans and protects right now, and look at what Rebel's been able to do. They got rid of the M8, and they protected the VMP, so they're really focused on putting a lot of aggression with the subs. Now the Man of War taken out in this one, so for the ARs, this might be a rough game if they're not familiar with some of the other assault rifles being able to use in Black Ops 3.
And Sydney banning out the Man of War, very interesting, and the Protect of the VMP. So we haven't actually seen the VMP really been touched in our last matchup, but it's something if your team really, really needs to depend on, you got to protect, you got to make sure the other team is not going to be taken out. Didn't get to see the other rest of the banner protects. Went by pretty quick, but let's go into the specialist draft so far. We're already going to see Vindictive and Gruesome match the Heat Wave, the Annihilator out of Cook Clean Kill, Honolulu with the, I like her name, Active Camo, and Tree with the Scythe. So very interesting names and specialists coming out of Rebel.
Now Blush going to match the Scythe on the other side for LG, and you think of the Scythe on this map, looking at the second rotation, being able to hold down the middle of the map, but it's also useful in some other places as well. You can even think of the greenhouse. If someone's set up around that back AC, make sure no one can come through bottom broken and sort of watch that spot. Anyone comes through Palace, that's an easy kill, and now the kinetic armor will come out of Rainbow and Sydney to close things off.
Of course, and now the final specialist being picked, Kinetic Armor, making it through, and that's going to be huge for this hardpoint. Very overpowered specialist to almost grant you a second life, make you a lot safer in the hill to pop that. Of course, pretty much identical specialists on both sides, Active Camo and Annihilator, so the extra weapon on the side of Blush's squad. And just to note that, we talked a little bit, me and Jack talked a little bit about yesterday at Luminosity, how they were in Season 1 under Virtue, and then I think they just didn't end up playing in Season 1, except Blush got into a squad, and she did so well in Season 1. That was my player to watch for this entire bracket, of course, and she did super well yesterday, just slaying so well, and in the S&D, really making the plays come together. And she has a really filthy sniper shot on the other side of Rebel. I didn't actually get to see them on stream. I played off stream against Savage, but so surprising that matchup went that way versus Savage. Savage having the two players that won second last season, Clammy and Flavor, disgusting players. They're so good. And so Rebel actually haven't seen or heard of these players in the community. Of course, maybe I'm not as knowledgeable. Maybe you guys can tell me something in the chat, but this squad looks good together. They even have the names in their gamer tags or their PSN. So that's when you know a team's legit, is when that happens.
This is another squad, LG, coming in this one. They haven't lost a map yet. Rebel did lose one to Savage, and then not exactly sure what happened in their first round matchup against Fur Esports, but looking at both of these teams, it's strong on both sides. And if we're taking anything from that last matchup between Gold Diggers and Orbit, we saw a really close game number 1 hardpoint. We saw a lot of focus on breaking the hills, especially around that second hardpoint area. The coordinated pushes, the pinches were able to come in, making other players spawn out. That's what you want to do in hardpoint. Free up everyone inside the hill to pick up that time and try and reach the 250 mark.
And of course, in the last night's matchup, Rebel lost actually their hardpoint to Savage, and I believe Luminosity did win their hardpoint. I don't have the score here on the website, but I'd have to give the edge to Luminosity just because I've seen them play their hardpoint yesterday, and Rebel lost their hardpoint game when they played yesterday. But I mean, this is going to be exciting to see how these two teams adapt to each other and how they face off, because every team is different. Every team brings their own strategy to their table and brings rotations and all these different things that you have to face. So let's see what the attachments and the weapons everybody's using. Shiva out of Tree, so Shiva did make it through the banner protect, 3 VMPs out of the Rebel squad, and same thing, XR2 and Shiva used out of Luminosity with 2 VMPs. So Cook Clean Kill and Franz are going to set up in this top area. Cook Clean Kill already going to open up a kill there on Tree. Honolulu though going to be on the hill trying to challenge. Blush though going to come into the hill with the XR2 with 2 kills of her own.
Clean Kill still holding this position. That's 3 in a row. She's able to clean up Tree. Now inside of the hill, she finally goes down. Sydney holding it down for Luminosity. Looks like one player was getting ready to go on that push. Now look at that. Blush picks up 2 spots. One coming from Palace Bridge, trying to put some pressure on that hard point. Easy cleanup for her. Luminosity really opening the door to start. They need to be worried about Rainbow. She's able to turn around, pick up 1. Blush covers it, trades the kill.
Very confused on what Rebel is doing. I guess they're just trying to focus on the spawns. They're already given up on the first hill. I just noticed they were sort of just rotating around the map, and they've completely given up the middle of the map. Tree now set up with the XR2 reflex on this back anchor spot, but Blush is already going to be taking her out, and Blush is on a 7 kill streak, make that a 7-1 now, but she earned herself a Hellstorm and a Lightning Strike, almost the Cerberus. Rainbow now on the hill for the next one. 1 minute left, of course, on that hill, but Luminosity have a pretty large lead from pretty much having all the points on that first hill, and Rebel also have the anchors in their position, but LG are going to try to challenge that anchor spot. Hill player is going to be challenged. Blush now in that anchor position with the XR2, still kill streaks in hand. Going to be challenged there by Rebel players coming from the left side. Gruesome is there to pick her up. Vindictive trading Honolulu. Now Luminosity are on the hill.
Now, you think last time Rebel goes for the early rotation, they were able to get 28 seconds off of that. Now, Gruesome is back in the hill. She is traded. But one thing from Luminosity, we talk so much in Hardpoint about the ARs, making sure that pressure is off of the sub-players. We saw it last hill. Sydney has 3 engagements right now. We're 12 seconds left in this hill. All 3 of those engagements came during this second Hardpoint as well. So she did not have to worry about a single player pushing her throughout the first minute of the game.
Of course, and Blush is just going off. She's just a one-lady army right now. Currently 13-3, almost made that 14. She's finally shot from behind. Sydney and Vindictive here on the brand new hill of Palace. They're going to be challenged from 2 players from Rebel on this middle, or on the right side, and there's some players challenging from the middle, but Rebel just not able to break Luminosity's setup here on Palace. So now you got Rainbow challenging sort of by herself, at least able to pick up one from a player Luminosity challenging out the hill, but Rainbow should be activating her kinetic, and I believe she did, but she did still get taken out there. Vindictive and Cook Clean Kill on the hill, just cleaning up these players from Rebel, not being able to break the hill.
2 special issues coming out there on Rebel. One, the heat wave used by Gruesome. She was cleaned up, and then you saw the kinetic armor not helping them out there as well. LG really extending this lead and getting ready to pass the 100-second mark. And now if you look at your minimap, they're already setting up to take control of Greenhouse. Meanwhile, they're going to run into these Rebel players. Gruesome cleans up one. The Hellstorm's going to come in, try and free up those spawns, and that's perfect. Blush takes out Tree.
Only 1 kill. I would have liked to I'd maybe use it on a different hill. I think she would have got more kills on a different hill. Rainbow racking up some points for her team, and Rebel have a nice setup going, and now they have to just stop the rotations from Luminosity. But Cook Clean Kill, that's a hard name to say really fast, but she's going to get some nice 2 intro kills. Rebel trying to clean up some players from Luminosity as well. Rainbow finally taken off the hill. That's going to be Sydney who cleans up that player, able to get some, at least the last 30 seconds of the hill. She's going to be contested. Somebody on this other side of the wall is going to be challenging her. Sydney's going to win that gunfight. Sydney also having the kinetic armor, has another player around the corner. She's able to clean her up as well. And Blush getting a kill of her own. Now Sydney currently on a 3 kill streak, 275 off the Lightning, 15 seconds left. We're going to see early rotations here by Rebel.
I mean, Luminosity's pretty much doubled the points of Rebel almost so far. And one thing that I do like about Rebel, although we're being a little bit hard on them, is the fact that on that last hill, it was one player did go and pop the active camo, was able to pick up kill in the back of the base, and now once again they set up for the early rotation coming over to bottom lap. They need to be able to take out at least 1 wave of these LG players. Cook Clean Kill will be the first one to engage inside the hill. Spots one by the little door, is able to clean that one up, and look at that, 3 in favor of LG. The spawns do not go in Rebel's favor. They all spawn over by Palace. Luminosity gonna add some more time on here.
Adding more time and securing this hardcore. Quick clean kill, going back into this back anchor position, having the Shiva, but she's going to be cleaned up by Tree coming in this back spot. Let's see if they're able to break this hill from behind, but great communication by Luminosity. They're turning back, trying to clean up those players. Blush, I think she got heat waved here, but she's still alive, able to pick up one. Quick clean kill, 2 pieces of her own, and Blush having the lightning strike in her back pocket, but now this is 4 going down for Rebel. 1 player trying to challenge the hill once again is Gruesome, but she's just going to wait for the rotations on this top AC, and maybe that team is just going to focus on keeping this initial middle hill. But lightning strike coming in, perfect hill to use it, but she's going to take out her team in the process.
And looking at that, Rebel's sort of forced to set up for the middle hill, right? They get the split spawn, so they either push us 2 or just set up in the middle of the map for the next rotation. Setting up in middle has helped them so far. Honolulu still alive here, has to turn around, try and help out her teammate, but they're getting pushed from both sides. She's able to clean up the kill on Cook Clean Kill, but just when that happens, Sydney comes in, picking up a kill of her own. Vindictive here to help her out as well.
I mean, Rebel had a nice setup going into this hill. You know, they were watching top ECs, watching the doorway that Luminosity was holding, and they were set up for this hill. But Luminosity, just the multi-kills that they bring to this table, were able to just perfectly break this initial hill in 180. So it's like currently a 100-point differential in favor of Luminosity. Sydney just has to sit pretty in the hill. Hasn't really had to do much, 20 engagements in total, as you said earlier. Sydney has not been having to do much. Her team are just slaying so well. Blush was like absolutely destroying in the beginning of the game, and she did get destroyed there just on my kill cam. But Luminosity taking over the last couple seconds of that hill. Rebel setting up their anchor and their positions for this next hill. Rainbow currently on the hill with VMP Kinetic in hand, so this is going to be huge for her. But Sydney and Cookling kill all over your kill feed.
Now Rainbow trying to stay alive. She pops the kinetic armor. She is taken out. One good thing that came out of Rebel there, once they noticed LG were going and trying to get control of those spawns, one player wraps all the way back around, is able to almost pick up a kill, but those spawns still not going in their favor. Even looking now, Rebel do have control of this back area, but Vindictive just finds Honolulu and shuts her down so easily with the VMP. We're about halfway through this hill already. Luminosity really extending this lead. This is not looking good for Rebel.
Not looking good when you're falling off the map, that's for sure. Rainbow trying to finish off that kill. She falls off. Honolulu, though, trying to do something, but Blush is going to answer back with the scythe kill on her. Vindictive sitting pretty on the hill, trying to just get that last bit of scrap time, but it's going to be all about rotations to this Palace Hill, and Rainbow is just sitting in the corner, able to pick up one, almost actually makes that two on Tiffany and Sydney. I'm just going to say Tiffany, so much easier to say, but Gruesome now on this back desk area just has to figure out where these Luminosity players are going to be challenging from. Able to spot one in this middle of the map, knows that three players should be challenging from the right, but the wall run comes in. Blush and Sydney able to break the hill, and the hill is going back in favor of Luminosity as Vindictive has full streaks, and that's going to be game anyway. Don't even need the streaks. 250 to 106 for Luminosity.
Wow, that was a beautiful play by LG right at the end there. We see Vindictive pick up the final kill here on Honolulu, but breaking down what happened in that last hill. You saw Rebel had complete control of Palace. What they're able to do for this side of LG, they send one Palace